is some Republicans and President Trump are doing everything they can to defame and reveal the whistleblower. You actually have a look at how the vice president, along with a lot of Republicans, were once stalwart defenders of those who had the courage to come forward and speak out. What can you share with us?
Joe, Mike Pence served in Congress for 12 years, from 2000 to 2012. At the time, he was the leading Republican defender of whistleblowers and journalists. Today, though, Vice President Mike Pence, it's a much different story.
Would you join me in thanking Donald Trump, Melania, and his entire family for the sacrifices that they are making to make America great again?
The Vice President of the United States, back in 2016, the day he became Donald Trump's running mate.
But when the door opens, the job of the Vice President is stand right next to the President and implement the policy that he's decided.
Since he stood by President Trump through it all. And now, an impeachment inquiry, standing alongside the President.
Where's Mike? Mike. Thank you, Mike.
And taking the mic in his defense.
Democrats have been spending all their time on endless investigations and a partisan impeachment. But enough is enough.
But that solidarity today, a shadow over his own past, that of then Congressman Pence.
This business of high crimes and misdemeanors goes to the question of whether or not the person serving as President of the United States put their own interests, their personal interests, ahead of public service.
Pence today contends that these investigations are a scheme.
In a blatant attempt to overturn the will of the American people.
But he once was a leading voice in Congress for protecting the identities of whistleblowers.
Without the assurance of confidentiality, many whistleblowers will simply refuse to come forward.
Many important conduits of information about government activity would be shut down.
And the importance of that information.
Integrity in government is not a Democrat or Republican issue. And corruption cannot be laid at the feet of one party or another.
He sponsored a media shield law to protect journalists who refuse to reveal their confidential sources.
Reporters will be unable to provide the American public with information they need to make decisions as an informed electorate.
And launched the Congressional Caucus for Freedom of the Press with Democrat Adam Schiff. And in the process lauded one of the most consequential whistleblowers in American history.
With the revelation of the identity of W. Mark Felt.
The secret FBI informant known as Deep Throat, who helped lead to Richard Nixon's resignation from the presidency.
Not long ago, a confidential source brought to light abuses at the highest levels of our government in the long national nightmare of Watergate.
But today,
the president's been completely vindicated.
There is little patience for the whistleblower complaints or the investigations that have followed.
The Democrats have been plotting to illegally overturn the election.
To try and overturn the election, and it's just not going to work.
Pence now, 3 years into his vice presidency, echoes more of the man he stands by today than the Pence who once served just down the road.
It's about protecting the public's right to know.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.